Hello everybody, this is Zero, or Kuzero, from Grandpa Gigginox, and this has been long overdue, like 400 likes overdue, so I'm finally gonna do it. It's Q&A time! Yep, Zexerus did his a long time ago, so here's mine. And to start, Bowhunter Katana asks, favorite book? My favorite book is one, I was originally introduced to it in school. It's called Brave New World by Aldous Huxley. It is a pseudo-sci-fi. It takes place many, many years in the future. It's about a whole advanced society. It's sort of like post-apocalyptic. What happens is, like, the entire world is, like, recreated from the bottom up. They just pretty much every society is destroyed, and what they do is they change everything. You could say for the better, you could say for the worse. And what they do is people aren't even born anymore naturally. People don't give birth anymore, but people are born like in test tubes. And what they do is people are sort of born into their jobs. So say you're meant to do some sort of intelligent thinker job, you'll be what's called an alpha. And alphas are usually the smartest, tallest, best looking, but say they need someone to do manual labor. You might be a gamma, which will be this sort of dumb, decrepit worker drone type person. And although they're not so disgusting that like they're unusable, that they're like the average person, and it's not like they're even slaves. They work their job, they go home, they go out and party, and that's a lot of the book. So it sort of goes under like an ignorance is bliss type thing, and it gets really interesting because someone from the outside world, they have these reservations around the world where people don't choose to be part of the society can grow like normal people. By the way, within the society, when you're born, like you start out young, but once you reach the age of about 20, 25, you don't age anymore. And then you live until about 60 years old, looking exactly the same young self. And then you'll just sort of wither away in a hospital. So you look good like your entire life, and you could do whatever you want. But people in these reservations, if you want, you can grow old and such like that. So one person who had like a mother who was originally in the reservation comes back, and they become, like, they go through the society, and it gets interesting seeing all the differences. And it's a really interesting book, Brave New World by Aldous Huxley. So, second question is asked by Monster Hunter Music Ian Gagua. When will you notice me, Grandpa Senpai? Who are you? Nahabra asks, what were your intentions when making this page? Well, I wasn't actually the direct creator of the page, as some of you may know. Zexerus is really the main admin. Although, I was always planning to make this page. Back when the pages were first started, and there was really just Devil Joe, I was thinking that it would be fun to become part of this group, because it was really fun. Monster Hunter was a game I really liked, and it never really occurred to me how little of it I saw on Facebook. And when looking through all the pages that started up, of course there was Devil Joe, Tigrex, Vespoid. There was several like Lagiacrus and Rathion pages. And then I was thinking, what's the monster that I really loved the most? Or the one that I really liked? And that was Gigginox. And I looked as hard as I can, and I couldn't find a Gigginox page. So I made a pledge to myself. If none was created by like the end of the month, I would make a Gigginox page. Eventually, like a few weeks later, Zexerus made his page. And I was really happy because I was thankful someone else actually liked the Gigginox. Then, several months late, a few months later, maybe 2, 3, Zexerus posted on his page that he was looking for a co-admin to help take the load off a little bit. And having wanted to create this page in the first place anyway, I instantly jumped on. And he had like a little contest, and I was really the only entry, so I won and became the co-admin of Grandpa Gigginox. Where do you see yourself 5 years from now? That is a tough one. Right now I'm in college. I am studying computer science and engineering. I suppose I'd love to have a job in that field. Programming, because I really like that. I already do in my free time, things like scripting and such like that. Though I feel it would be more fun to one day. I'm a big fan of designing. I always joked to my friends when they say, like, what are you going to be when you grow up? I always say, you know, at the end of every video game and movie, there's like 20 minutes of credits of people, just people, part of these studios that you have no idea what the hell they did. I'm probably going to be one of those people. That's what I always said. And I would love to do it. Be it games or movies, I would love to be part of that, because I love creating, I love like media, I love all forms of television and such like that. Television, movies, if it's a high quality show, I probably like it. Because I'm a bit of a media whore. Do you plan on porting a Japanese 3DS and getting Monster Hunter 4? To be truthful, no. I don't think I'm gonna import a Japanese 3DS. First of all, as a college student, I don't have that much money. And second of all, I already love this thing. My wonderful Fire Emblem 3DS. It's beautiful, look at it. Look at it! So, I suppose I'd probably just wait until MH4 actually gets localized, assuming it does. Better. What about Frontier? As much as Frontier looks really awesome and I'd love to play online, I already have like a lot of things in my hand. I don't really plan on downloading it. If it comes out in America, if it actually becomes localized, I'd jump right on it. But I don't think I'm going to go out of my way to go through like the whole like download and translation ports and stuff that I see all the time. It's just... But if it does get localized, I'd definitely jump on. What are some of your favorite monsters to fight? Gigginox. That's one of the reasons I am part of this page. When I first went into Monster Hunter Tri, I went in blind, not looking up any of the monsters or anything prior. So, like, you fight all the small monsters, and the first large monster, Jaggy, Great Jaggy, was originally for me like hard. I had a big trouble, and like a lot of others seemingly were, I actually got distracted, started playing other games, never went back to it. Eventually I decided to go back and finish the game because I barely played any of it, and so I kept going. And you know, Great Jaggy is sort of Velociraptor type thing. Eventually you'll fight the Kurapeko and other things. Like, for the most part, all the things you see for the while seem like big dinosaurs or dragons. Not that I don't like that, I love that. But the first monster that truly, like, terrified me right away is the first time I went to the Tundra was the Bloodstone quest. I think it was the online one. And I saw the Giggies, and I looked in the hunter's notes, and I saw they were labeled as flying wyverns, and I always thought that was just because there's nowhere else to put them. But eventually, when I was mining in the Gigginox horde, I saw a Gigginox came in, and was I terrified. The music started up, like the creepy piano music, and I was like, holy shit, and I ran for my freaking life. And it's because, while, like I said before, a lot of the other monsters you fight are like dragon-like, this was the first monster that seemed just like a monster on its own. And like the way it crawled on ceilings, and like the darkness, and like just like the thrill of the fight, especially because it was so sort of creepy, made me love it really, really quickly. And it easily became my favorite fight right away because of possibly like the difficulty and just like the thrill of the fight. Like, I would be lying if I said the Tundra theme wasn't a good part of it, because the thrill of that fight was my favorite. And I used one of the Gigginox tags as like my online tag, or I used on try, and because I've fought that thing millions of times, just because most people say they hate fighting it, but I actually really love that fight. So, what's some stuff you like about the community? First of all, you people are awesome. I just love reading the posts, because again, this is a game that I'm really into, and I barely saw much else. I knew there was a wiki and forums, but I never really got into it as far as like getting into the communities. And then I always used to love liking a whole bunch of Facebook pages, and I think I started from like Barack Obama, and then like Amabo, who became good friends with Devil Joe, and then I'm like, I remember that guy. And like I said, I didn't spoil myself like the monsters, but I knew a lot of what the names were generally. So then I saw a couple of the other ones starting up. I saw Tigrex start up. I was like one of his like first 500 fans or something. And then I was able to get into the community really, really easily, and I started liking a lot of the pages. People were posting a lot of content. There was like more art, more stuff like that about Monster Hunter than I actually really thought, because I haven't looked up most of it, and it was really, really cool. And just the people, like, it's awesome being part of like the Les Hunters Guild, and just reading all the posts is really, really fun, just because the people are really fun and nice. And again, a lot of it just comes down to the fact that I love this game. So, some of your favorite pages. I will admit that I do like... Well, Kogarth is a really, really fun page to look after, especially all the news he posts. Of course, I'm a big fan of Devil Joe, because he's just hilarious. A lot of the stuff that Tigrex used to post before he removed his page. All of the fun content. One of my favorite pages recently has been the page Monster Hunter and Ponies. Crow, I love you. Because I love a lot of the content, and it's so funny. And I'll admit, I'm not big on it, but I'll admit I am a brony, and so I like seeing a lot of it, and it's fun seeing a lot of the crossover art, because both communities are somewhat big on crossover art. So, like, it's a bit of a niche area, but I love seeing both of it, and also the fact that Crow, you are hilarious. I love you. Oh my god, man. I love you. So, those are a couple of my favorite pages. And these are older questions from, like, forever ago, but I think I'll go back and answer some of those, just for the sake of it. Pls Enjoy asks, thoughts on the new Pokemon? So, to be honest, Pokemon is probably my favorite franchise ever. I love it. So, like, I do post a lot of Pokemon content. I actually play, like, the card game and stuff like that. And honestly, I've been loving a lot of the designs so far. Often when the generations come out, like, I always love all of them eventually, but sometimes I see some of them and they are kind of like, I'm like, I guess I'll get used to it eventually, this design. But especially like the starters, it was probably one of the first times I can remember in a while where I immediately liked all three of them right away. That hasn't happened, to my knowledge. Both of the legendaries are really awesome. It's really nice to see them becoming a little more natural again compared to like the last three generations where they're all like giant mechas or dinos or stuff like that. Like, I mean, look at Groudon and look at Dialga, and like they all sort of look these sort of robots, and Zekrom sort of capitalizes that on having a giant electric generator as for a tail. Like, I do love the giant mecha dragon dinosaur type stuff, but it's nice to have the change. and especially the new region and stuff like that. It looks really nice. Let's look through some other older questions. Buldrum asks, favorite game genre? I'm a big RPG fan. I really like, tend to take games slower. I'm actually was pretty surprised that, all things considered, that I love Monster Hunter so much, because it is a really fast-paced game, although I guess it does have its RPG elements, a lot of them, like crafting and such like that. Because half the time I probably spend creating armor sets and such. So that's where a lot of my fun comes from. But again, that's a big reason I like Pokemon and other games that I play, like even like, for example, like more tactical, like Fire Emblem, like the Fire Emblem 3DS I have, and a lot of stuff like that. But like before, like my favorite actual game is Pokemon, and I really do love the epitome of like the turn-based battling, because I'm not the fastest person, and that's why I'm really not too, I don't dislike them, but I'm not good at fighting games at all. Like I like playing like Smash Brothers Melee. I'm part of a group in my college called the College Gaming League. They do like competitive gaming, and stuff like that, like real competitive gaming. And sometimes I try and play with them. I played like Dota 2, a few games with them, and I help them practice with Melee. And I'm good enough that I could stand my own sometimes, but they usually beat me because I'm nowhere near as good as like the competitive level they actually are. Those people are amazing. But I do really enjoy playing those type of games, but I'm not too good at them just because I'm not too good on speed and quick reactions. Oddly enough, I've been able to get around that though in Monster Hunter. I've gotten really, really, really good at the timing, but a lot of that's probably just because the game is pretty slow. Like the amount of times it takes for some of the attacks, like a Great Sword Smash will take like 5 seconds. But so a lot of you do have some time to think about that, and then a lot of it's like I have a good memory, so then seeing like the monster animations and knowing these setups and knowing exactly what to do. So a lot of that I'm pretty good with. But favorite game genre, I'd go to RPG. Pariah asks, favorite small monster? I want to say like the Epioth, because I do tend to like the sort of slippery water monsters. Like after Gigginox, one of my favorite monsters might be actually like Gobble or Legiacris. They need to have sort of something that pronounces all these names somewhere. I swear to God. But yeah, like a lot of my favorite fights are actually the water fights. Even though people tend to hate them, I actually really like them. I'm probably odd in that respect, because of the same way people tend to dislike fighting Gigginox. I love that fight. And a lot of the Tundra fights in general. Royal Ludroth, but no. I tend to like a lot of the water monsters. So that's why I like the Epioth for my small monster, because it looks really cool. Guildsmith. How much woo could a Wu-Tang tang if a Wu-Tang could tang woo? Man, Wu-Tang ain't nothing to fuck with. Shakalaka asks, what style of facial hair do you prefer? Do you have facial hair of a specific style? If so, how do you maintain its perfection? Generally, I tend to just keep this little chin beard. I play with it all the time. But when I don't shave, I tend to grow like a bit of a neck beard and a little bit of a mustache. I do shave it every once in a while, but sometimes I just sort of let it out, and that's kind of what I'm at now. I honestly don't take as much care of it as I probably should. Meraru asks, if I was an ice cream, how would you eat me? I'd eat you slowly. I'd take sprinkles, coat them all over your body, take the whipped cream, smash it all over you, and shove you in my mouth. Exactly like that. Crimson Karapeko asks, where do you live? Not specifically, but what country? I could actually go specifically. I live in Boca Raton, Florida, South Florida. I mentioned it a few times in posts. Honestly, I'm not the biggest fan of Florida. I only moved here because my family moved here. I'm originally from New York. I'm a big fan of the snow and the cold. If it was up to me, I'd live in I like the United States, but I'd love to live in a colder area like Canada almost, because I just hate the heat. Especially the humidity here, and the fact that it rains like every other day, and like sporadically it'll rain for 10 minutes. It'll be gorgeous out, and then it'll rain 5 minutes later. It's just awful. I hate the weather. I like the place and I like the people. No, wherever I go, I find a lot of people I like, but I hate the weather in South Florida. I'm an ice guy. And I suppose I'll answer one more. Kezu asks, what is your favorite food? I want to know what a Gigginox eats. As a classic Jew, one of my favorite foods is a bagel and cream cheese. It's very stereotypical, but actually, yes, I like it. It's like my favorite breakfast food. I also really tend to I'm not actually a big fan of fast food, but I tend to say Subway sandwiches. Also, as a classic Jew, I have a whole bunch of coupons just laying around. Ha ha ha. And I'm gonna use this tomorrow. But college life. But I have a lot of ramen noodles just around. I wouldn't call them my favorite foods, but it's a lot of what I eat all the time. And I do if I could have my way, I'd eat a nice steak or something, because those are delicious. I'm a carnivore. Well, so that's some of the questions that I got, and I think this has gone on long enough. Probably longer than it should have. Probably spent too much time talking about Brave New World. It's an amazing book, though. Read it. But yeah, so I don't think I've ever even posted an admin pic before, so nice to meet you all, I guess, and hope to see more of you around. Like Zexverse said before, feel free to ask questions whenever you want, and we'll answer them, because I love you guys, and I love answering your questions, and I love this community, and I love this game. It's so much fun, so see all of you around. That face is creepy, I'm sorry.